I'm sketching a hoopoe in this video, and this is an interesting kind of bird that has a big crest or almost a crown on the top of his head. And in this sketch, his crest is folded in. And another thing that's very cool about this bird is the intricate pattern on the wings and also on parts of the crest. So I'm hoping I can capture that in my sketch, and as you can see, the sketch is very elaborate because of this. So I want to get all the patterns and the details right, and this is why I'm spending a bit of time on the sketch, and I'm adding more details than I usually would. I've also added a second sketch where you can see the raised crest. And what I'm starting with here is a dark neutral mix with which I'm painting in the shadows that I can see first. So each area that shows a little crease or that shows a shadow, I will paint in with that mix of sepia and burnt sienna. And so I can add a bit of texture and add all of these creases that will guide my way later when I'm adding the dark and light areas. So this is a way that you can start your painting with a different technique, and not by adding the base color, but by adding the actual shadows. And if you overpaint this, then it will show through later. So I'm applying this color to every area that I can see has this middle to dark value that I want to preserve before I paint it over. I'm obviously not adding the areas that are black, so these will be painted in black in a minute. And here you can see my concentrated black. So this is, as always, I don't use a straight black, but rather a dark gray. And I'm starting with the eye and with the markings. And since I won't do a lot of layering for this sketch, it's fine to do this on wood pulp paper. And as it is with these complicated patterns, I got it wrong from the beginning, so I'm trying to paint this dark band and the other dark patches now around my error. And in the end, it doesn't really matter much. So this bird has this kind of a black and white pattern on the wings, and it's really something you have to spend a little bit of time on to get it right. But it's actually very cool to paint. Quite relaxing, I think. So in a way, these birds are similar to woodpeckers. They're even the same size, I'd say. Or maybe similar to smaller jays. So I'm taking my time here to get the markings right, to get these dark patterns. And it starts to come together now. So for the tail, I'm first painting a lighter gray, and I'll refine the dark and the light areas again later. Adding a few details around the claws. You can see on the right side on the sketch that is covered by my hand now that this bird has really sort of this punk look to himself. I really enjoy the weird looks that birds have. I've added a bit of burnt sienna to my gray, and this will make a very dark brown gray, and I can paint in these iridescent patches on the feathers. So these really interesting areas. I'm also refining the beak, make it a little bit darker and even darker on the bottom side. And now I'm dropping in my burnt sienna and red mix. So as you can see, this is quite the intense color, and I can use water on my brush and drop it into the entire head and shoulder area and just drag out the color that I dropped into this area. And now it's a bit closer to the actual color of the bird. And you can also see the shadows that I painted earlier are still showing through, and they give this instant 3D effect. So this is what I was looking for. And I'm refining the patterns on the wings a little bit with my orange burnt sienna mix. I'm adding more information around the eye, around the face, because this is where I want people to look. And now I'm darkening the tail area a bit more. And as a last step, when everything is dry, I'm refining a few details around the face, around the bill, with my colored pencil. So I particularly enjoy this light yellow colored pencil, and also this light brown one that's similar to my burnt sienna mix. So I can add a bit more texture, a bit more structure with it. And now I'm taking my light gray to add a bit of shine, a bit of highlight around the beak and also around the eye area. If you've enjoyed this video, then check out my video class How to Draw Birds. In this video series, I show you everything you need to get started when drawing birds in your sketchbook. I go over the basics of bird anatomy, show drawing techniques and tips, and give several demonstrations in pencil and watercolor from start to finish. The whole course has almost 2 hours of video. So come with me and learn how to draw birds.